So you want to get an American Express card. Some people think that to get an American Express card, you either need to have a perfect credit score or make $1 million a year. That simply isn't the case. American Express cards have actually been probably the easiest cards I've ever been approved for. You can have an average salary and also an average credit score and still be approved for an American Express card. But just because this is the case, doesn't mean that you should just jump and go get the American Express Platinum card immediately, because there are some things you should know about American Express before you go applying for their cards. So as great as the American Express Platinum card is, you want to hold off from getting that card first because of the family language that is connected to American Express cards. And what this family language is that within a family of cards, if you go for a top card first, then you're ineligible for the welcome offers for the cards that are below it. So for example, if you happen to go for the American Express Platinum card, you got approved for it and hit the welcome offer, well now you'd be ineligible for the welcome offer for the American Express Green card or the American Express Gold card. Welcome offers are incredibly valuable, and they are the best way for most people to rack up a ton of points fast. So you don't want to become ineligible for welcome offers if you have the ability to avoid it. So if you think that you're ever going to want to get the American Express Green card or the American Express Gold card, then you wouldn't want to jump on the American Express Platinum card immediately, because then you'd be missing out on possibly over 100,000 membership reward points in the future. Now, some people don't want to get 20 credit cards, and I completely understand that. But the American Express Gold card is one of the most popular cards out there, giving you 4x back on dining and 4x back on groceries. We all need to eat, so getting 4x back on these very popular categories is pretty valuable. So at the very least, you just start off with the American Express Gold card, so then you can be able to get the welcome offer with that card, be able to rack up those 4x back categories for that year if you only want to keep it for 1 year, and then apply for the American Express Platinum card. Because then you can get the welcome offer for both of those cards, even though I still would think it would make the most sense to start with the green card. If the green card is one that you see that you'll never use, then starting with the gold card and at least not forfeiting that welcome offer would make the most sense for how to start off with American Express. But that's if you want to start with points cards. I actually wouldn't recommend that people start with points cards with American Express. And the reason for that is because when it comes to redeeming American Express's points, they are the most complicated to get good value from all the other points miles programs out there. And a lot of people jump on American Express cards, rack up a ton of their points, and then redeem their points for poor value. And then months later, once they begin to understand how to redeem points and miles, they are unhappy with the redemptions that they made previously. So if you are someone who has no clue how to redeem points and miles and take advantage of transfer partners, then you shouldn't start off with the American Express Green, Gold, or Platinum card. I've met countless people who have these cards and have told me that the majority of the times that they redeem their points is just for a statement credit. And for those of you who are more advanced thinking who would ever do that, go talk to people who have American Express cards like either the Green, Gold, or Platinum card and ask them how they redeem their points. And you will hear that the vast majority of people either do it as a statement credit with Amazon or they use American Express's travel portal. It is rare that you will meet someone in person who tells you that they transfer their points out to transfer partners, and that is the exact way that you need to be able to take advantage of American Express points to actually get good value for their points. American Express is great because you can rack up so many points with them, but it doesn't matter if you can rack up 30% more points if you're only redeeming at 50% of the value. So until you get a base level understanding of redeeming points, I would say to hold off from getting the American Express Green, Gold, or Platinum card. Usually the first card I recommend for people to get with American Express is actually the Hilton Honors card. I've recommended the Hilton Honors card to a lot of people. Is the Hilton Honors card the best card? Absolutely not. But there's a few reasons why I recommend this card for the first American Express card to beginners. One of the reasons is that this card has no annual fee. Now it can be challenging sometimes to explain to someone that they should get a card that has an annual fee when there's a lot of good cards out there that don't have an annual fee. But also, there are cards out there that have an annual fee that you could recommend to someone, and then if they're not taking full advantage of the different credits and things that are attached to it, then that annual fee is just cutting into that person's gains. So for beginners, it is best for them to start off with cards that have no annual fee. And the Hilton Honors card has no annual fee, but also has a strong welcome offer that is attached to it. Now, most no annual fee cards typically have a welcome offer that is right around about $200 in value, but with the Hilton Honors card, as of recording this video, there is a welcome offer where you're going to get a free night award certificate plus 70,000 points after you hit the minimum spending requirement. This could easily get you over $1,000 of value. I mean, the free night certificate alone can be used at almost any standard room within the Hilton Honors program, so you can use it at a property like the Waldorf Astoria in Beverly Hills that typically goes for just $1,000 a night there. And you still would have 70,000 points left over to be used at other Hilton properties. This card is an excellent starter card to help you understand how to redeem points. Now, these are only Hilton Honors points that can only be redeemed with Hilton properties and their partner properties, but even still, you need to look for standard rooms and try to figure out if you can find some deals, and at the very least, if you end up redeeming your Hilton Honors points, you won't feel like you got burned afterward. Because while you could redeem your Hilton Honors points for not the greatest of value, it's pretty hard to redeem for poor value when it comes to the value of Hilton Honors points. I've met a lot of people who have stories about ways that they've redeemed their transferable currencies that they're super unhappy with in the past, but I've never met anyone who's ever said that about their Hilton Honors points. Now, if you are interested in getting the Hilton Honors card or any card that I name in this video, check out my links in the description box to learn more. If you do decide to use any of my links, it does really help out the channel, and I'll be incredibly thankful for anyone's support. Now, after the Hilton Honors card, once you feel that you do have a basic understanding of how to redeem points, I do think that it is going to be wise to go with one of American Express's transferable currency cards next. This would end up being the green, gold, and platinum card. And just like how I said earlier in the video, you wouldn't really want to start with the platinum card because then you end up forfeiting out the other bonuses. But I know a lot of people do want to start with the platinum card because they want to be able to get the lounge access. But if you are not desperately seeking lounge access, then begin with the green card. It really isn't a bad earner card. This is a card that gives you 3x back on travel purchases and also 3x back on dining purchases. I feel that this is a pretty good earner card. And if you are someone who doesn't like to shuffle between multiple different cards, then just using the American Express green card will probably end up earning you a decent amount of points. My biggest issue with the American Express green card is the annual fee. The card has a $150 annual fee, which isn't terribly high compared to the other American Express cards if you look like the gold or the platinum card that have higher annual fees. But when you compare it to other cards from other banks, a $150 annual fee for a card that's going to be giving you 3x back in a number of different categories without many other benefits and perks connected to it, that is a little bit high as compared to what Citi or Chase offers. But if you do spend a lot on travel and you value the American Express ecosystem, I do think this can end up being a good one to have. Now, the welcome offer for the green card is usually at about 40,000 points, so if you did skip over it and just go to the gold card, you're not missing out on a ton of points. But for myself, that is enough points where I feel like it is worth going for first as compared to just jumping over it and going to the other cards. For some people, 40,000 points isn't enough and they will just jump over it. But for most people, they wouldn't want to jump over the gold card because the welcome offer for that card typically ends up being pretty good. I mean, I've seen it at 75,000, 90,000, even 100,000 points after you end up hitting the minimum spending requirement. So you wouldn't want to miss out on that welcome offer because that could literally end up being a business class flight round trip over to Europe. Now, this card does have a bigger annual fee than the green card, coming in at $325, but the credits that are attached to the American Express Gold card are easier for most people to be able to redeem as compared to the ones that are connected to the American Express Green card. So you get over $400 in credits with the American Express Gold card. You get it with a dining credit, an Uber credit, a Resi credit, and also a Dunkin' Donuts credit. For myself, I'm able to max out the credits, so I can justify having this card, but for a lot of people, they can't because they may end up living somewhere where there's no Resi restaurants. So if that ends up being your situation, then it wouldn't make a lot of sense to keep this card long term because unless you are spending a lot on dining and on groceries, you want to be able to take advantage of these credits because if you don't, well, that annual fee just cuts into your gains. But then after the gold card, then that is when you're going to want to get the Big Daddy Platinum card. Now, I know a lot of people only stick with just getting the green card and the gold card and they never actually get themselves the platinum card because if you don't happen to be going to airport lounges pretty frequently, then it won't make a lot of sense to have the platinum card in your wallet long term. A lot of people see the platinum card, there's always just a lure behind it. They think that this ends up being the coolest card out there and they want to drop it down on the table at every restaurant that they eat at. But you wouldn't want to do that with the platinum card because the platinum card is not a strong earner card. I mean, the main category bonus for the American Express Platinum card is going to be 5x back on flights booked directly with the airlines. And this isn't a bad category bonus, but when you compare that to something like the American Express Gold card that's going to be giving you 4x back on dining and on groceries, and also 3x back on flights, I think people will end up earning a lot more points with the Gold card as compared to the American Express Platinum card. Yet people will get the American Express Platinum card and just love the way the card looks, and they use this card for all of their spend. You'll realize that you earn a lot less points with the American Express Platinum card as compared to what you'd be earning with the American Express either Green card or the American Express Gold card. So be smart with the American Express Platinum card because there are way too many people who get the Platinum card just to try to be cool and they go out to restaurants and they drop it on the table. That shouldn't be the way that you're using your American Express Platinum card. You should be using it to book flights directly with the airlines and then using it to access airport lounges. And if you aren't going to an airport lounge close to like 10 times throughout the year, then you probably don't need to have the American Express Platinum card in your wallet long term. Now, for those who don't want to get 20 credit cards, you can usually just stop right there. But for the people who want to try to see what other cards are out there with American Express and take full advantage of their program, well, there are other options out there, and there's a strategy that I would say you should go by. Now, after going through the American Express cards that earn membership reward points, I would then go back to the Hilton cards. The Hilton Honors card is a great card for beginners, but the Hilton Surpass card and the Hilton Aspire card are great cards for anyone who likes to stay at Hilton properties. These cards do have annual fees, but if you like to stay at Hilton properties, these annual fees will probably end up seeming pretty minimal as compared to the benefits you end up getting from having these cards. I'm not going to do full breakdowns of both of these cards, but just know that the credits that you will get attached to these cards will outweigh the annual fee, and on top of that, you will end up getting status with these cards, either being gold status with the American Express Hilton Surpass card, or diamond status with the Hilton Aspire card. The Hilton Aspire card is one of the most overpowered cards, and for anyone who likes to stay at Hilton properties, this is one that you should definitely have inside of your wallet. Now, as of recording this video, American Express doesn't have lifetime language on the Hilton cards the same way they do like with their membership rewards points earning cards. So if you did go with the Hilton Aspire card first, then you could drop down and get yourself the Hilton Honors card later on, but you never know if American Express is going to add in this family language, so I wouldn't say to start with the Hilton Aspire card. I would say to start with the Hilton Honors card, and then go to the Surpass card, and then go to the Hilton Aspire card. Because if American Express does decide to add in the family language later on, we don't want to miss out on all those welcome offers if you don't have to. Now, after the Hilton cards, the next cards that I would recommend to look at would end up being the Delta cards. Now, when it comes to earnings with spend on the Delta cards, they are not good earner cards. But they're like most airline cards that are not good earner cards, so I can't really say that they're worse earner cards than like the American Airlines cards or the United cards, but I guess you can say that Delta miles are less valuable, so I guess because of that, you could make an argument that there are worse earner cards. And Delta does have family language attached to their cards, so you wouldn't want to start off with the lower cards with Delta and then move your way up. I wouldn't start off with the Delta Blue card because that card is just such a low welcome offer that I don't think it's even worth looking at. But when it comes to the Delta Gold card and then Platinum card and then the Delta Reserve card, you'd want to start with the Delta Gold card first because the welcome offer with that typically ends up being pretty good, so you wouldn't want to miss out on that welcome offer later on in the future. Now, while these cards may end up being terrible earner cards, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have one of these cards in your wallet if you are a fan of flying with Delta, because you will end up getting priority boarding, free check bags. If you have the Delta Reserve card, you'd also get access to the Delta Sky Club. And the Delta Hotels credit is also a really easy perk to use. So if you do want to have one of these Delta cards in your wallet to be able to get the priority boarding and free check bags, but you end up seeing the annual fee seeming kind of high, if you can just take advantage of that Delta Stays credit, that can help justify the annual fee attached to the card. But yeah, the Delta cards are not good earner cards, so if you happen to have something like the American Express Gold card, well, you could just use the American Express Gold card on your purchases, and then if you wanted to, while I wouldn't recommend it, you could just transfer those points over to your Delta account at a 1-to-1 ratio. So you would have the ability to earn 3x on Delta flights, either with your Delta card, or you could get 3x with your American Express Gold card that you could either transfer to Delta or one of the many other transfer partners that are connected to American Express. So that's the reason why you want to use something like the Gold card for your purchases as compared to one of the Delta cards that just aren't strong earner cards. Now, after the Delta cards is when you want to start looking at the Marriott cards. Now, I'll admit that I am not a fan of Marriott cards. I know that there are people who love to stay at Marriott properties, and Marriott does have a lot of really nice properties, but when it comes to their cards, there isn't one out there that I actually want to get. I guess if you were someone who really likes to stay at Marriott properties, then the top tier Marriott card would end up giving you platinum status. So because of that, that can end up being valuable for people who like to stay at Marriott frequently. But for myself, I just look at Marriott cards as being at some point cards that I will get to work through the welcome offers for, and then I'll just stop looking at their cards. I don't like the inconsistencies when it comes to the status and how much of it gets honored at the different properties. And when I look at the cards, the annual fees are pretty high and the perks that come with it don't easily offset the annual fee for me. Now again, I'm not someone who stays at Marriott properties very frequently, so if you are, then you could end up seeing more value in these cards than I do. But when it comes to like earning potential with these cards, even if you use these cards at Marriott properties, they still end up being terrible earner cards. This doesn't mean you can't earn Marriott points from having Marriott status and then just having that status earn you points, but actual spend with the cards at the properties would end up being worse than using something like the American Express Green card at that property instead. But I'll take Marriott points at some point because they have more properties than anyone else, so it is always nice to know that if you are looking for a place to stay and you do happen to have points with the program, well, at least there's probably going to end up being a Marriott around because they are incredibly worldwide. And then that brings us to American Express's cashback cards. Now, I know that people have American Express's cashback cards, but I don't really understand why. I don't recommend their cashback cards to people because there are better cashback cards out there. If you are someone who has an American Express cashback card, please tell me why I should recommend that card to people. But I guess if I had to say when you would want to get an American Express cashback card would be after you went through getting the Hilton cards, the membership reward points earning cards, the Delta cards, the Marriott cards. And then you can start looking at the cashback cards. If there ends up being a decent welcome offer, there's just better cashback cards all around. So to recap, if you're someone who wants to start traveling more and you've been caught in the allure of American Express cards, first start off with something like the American Express Hilton Honors Card. This card will end up being a great beginner's card that has no annual fee and will help you dip your toes into understanding how to redeem points with a program. And then once you begin to feel confident when it comes to redeeming points, then you're going to want to jump on the American Express's membership rewards points earning cards, first starting off with the green card, mainly because of the family language. You don't want to miss out on the welcome offers in the future. And then from the green card, you go to the gold card, and from the gold card, you go to the platinum card. Now, if you were someone who doesn't want the green card and you only wanted the platinum card, then I would say at least go with the gold card because the welcome offer is just so strong with that. And then we all need to eat, so getting 4x back on dining and on groceries isn't a bad thing. But then after you end up going through these membership rewards points earning cards, then you want to start looking at going back to the Hilton cards, because these are going to end up being some of the most powerful hotel cards out there. Even though Hilton doesn't have family language currently connected to their cards, you'd want to start off with the Surpass card and then go over to the Hilton Aspire card. Because at any time, American Express could add in the family language, and if you just jumped over to the Hilton Aspire card, then you'd miss out on the potential for a welcome offer with the Hilton Surpass card. And then after getting through the Hilton cards, you would want to look at the Delta cards and then start from the bottom and work your way up. And the same thing with the Marriott cards. If you want to stay at Marriott properties as well, start at the bottom and work your way up. And then if you happen to want some cashback cards, well then you could just go look at some American Express's cashback cards, even though I don't think they end up being very good. But everything that I went through in this video was on the personal side. There's an entire side of business cards that for some people can end up being better cards, because not only are there higher welcome offers, but also the category spend can end up being different. It could end up working out better for your situation. Now, I do realize that there's a lot of people who do not feel comfortable with getting business cards, but if you happen to have a side hustle and you are okay with getting business cards, then I highly recommend to look at American Express's business cards and just use the order that I already talked about, but just add in business cards in place. So instead of having to just jump right over to the Hilton Surpass card, you could end up going with the Hilton Business card, or the same thing with the Delta cards. Instead of just jumping to the American Express Delta Gold card, you could jump to the American Express Delta Gold card on the business side. And what's great about American Express's business cards is that most of the time when you're already approved for an American Express card, if you apply and get approved for a business card, not only do they not add a new line of credit to your credit report, but many instances they don't even add an inquiry as well. So it's almost like nothing gets reported that you have a new card that you've added to your account. Business cards open up a whole new world and allow you to be able to rack up a lot more points. So if you think you can be able to get a business card, then I highly recommend that you do it. American Express offers some of the best cards in the game. On their hotel side, when you look at the Hilton cards, they are the strongest hotel cards out there. And when it comes to the membership rewards points earning cards, they're some of the best earner cards out there. However, American Express can be a little bit more complicated, and they do have cards that have slightly higher annual fees than many other programs out there. So because of this, if you do decide to start with American Express, you can end up having a little bit of challenges in the beginning because the annual fees can end up cutting into your gains, and then also redeeming the points with American Express can end up being harder than with other programs. But if you do take your time going through American Express and you work through them the right way, they can end up being the best program in the game. But hopefully you enjoy this video. Let me know in the comment section down below which American Express card is your favorite American Express card. And did you start with the Hilton Honors card or one of the membership reward points earning card, or did you immediately jump over to, say, the Marriott cards? Now, if you happen to have any questions, you can drop that down below and I'll do the best I can to answer it. And again, if you happen to be interested in any cards, check out my links in the description box down below. If you do decide to use any of my links, it does really help out the channel, and I'd be incredibly thankful for your support. And if you want to become a Points Miles booking expert, go to Points Travel 101 to purchase my course. After going through my course, you will feel confident with booking business and first class flights all over the world. If you have a real this video, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Peace.